Talofa lava, I am Monty Betham and thank you for choosing Once a Warrior. You're in for a treat tonight because we've got one of the GOATs of the club, if not the GOAT of all time in the Warriors jump. He debuted for the club in 2005 and 2018. The man, the myth, the legend was still playing. Simon Mannering, thanks for joining us, my man.
Hey, Mont, how are you?
Very good, brother. The most capped Warrior of all time, Captain Mannering. What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm just living down in Nelson, filling my time doing a building apprenticeship, so a bit of change in pace, but I guess enjoying a bit of a normal life.
Talk to me about that, because when you first got out, I think it was the first year you were helping over there with the Brisbane rugby league side, the women's side. Tell me you're not lost to the great game of rugby league, man.
Yeah, when I first finished up, went over to Aussie for a year just to chill out and have some time with the family, and a friend over there, Calvin Wright, he was just appointed the coach of the women's team at Brisbane, and he said, did you want to just come and help him out in a pretty small capacity? And I thought it was a good opportunity to sort of keep in touch with the game, and really enjoyed my time working with the girls, and ended up coming back at the end of that year and sort of got back into a different routine of away from footy and spending more time with my family. And
I mean, you can't even tell me the last time you watched the rugby league game. I find that crazy, man.
Yeah, I kind of, I guess when you've been involved in the game, you know, it was so consuming. And when I first retired, I didn't follow it or anything until sort of Calvin got me involved with that Broncos girls team. And then, you know, I started watching the Warriors again and all that. And then maybe just the last couple of seasons, hopefully no one's judging me, hearing me say this, but I've just almost lost a bit of a connection with the game, I think, and just enjoy spending my time more with my family. And, I guess other priorities take over, and, don't really have any time to watch any footy.
Now, I know you've been away for 4 years since you've retired, but I think it's now time to look back on some of those great moments that seem like a lifetime that you gave us in that Warriors jumper. Let's have a look at this.
Simon Mannering. He is Mr. Reliable, Mr. Relentless, Mr. Resilient. Mannering says, look at me go. He takes on the defence. There's a try saver from who else? Simon Mannering. Simon Mannering. What a play. Mannering is through. He's got the pace. He's got the power. Mannering still going as Captain Mannering. Out to Mannering, there's a kick from the captain. Mannering's now followed through and score! Mannering! Brilliant effort from the captain!
The first time a man has played 300 games for this club. Congratulations, Simon Mannering.
Simon, you haven't watched rugby league for a very long time, but when you watch your highlights back 4 years later, how does that make you feel?
Definitely fond memories. It does feel like a lifetime ago, and if you sort of think about doing that at this stage in your life, it's pretty far-fetched. It's pretty lucky to have the opportunity to be part of some of those moments, and you know, it's stuff I'll always treasure. But it's quite hard to relate to it now.
Crazy. The commentary in there from Matt Russell was Mr. Reliable, Mr. Relentless, Mr. Resilient. No one would argue with that, but how would you like to be remembered of what you did in your time in that jumper, man, which seemed like an eternity?
I guess when I was playing, I always just wanted to do my teammates proud and my family proud. That was my main motivation in the game. Achieve success, and probably not the most talented physically, never was, and just used to try hard. And it's funny, you'd have teammates that were a lot more capable, you know, in the gym or on the training field, but would pick up a lot of injuries. And you know, I was sort of that sinew and bone makeup that just, you know, got me. I don't know. I honestly can't put my finger on it. I used to work really hard, and I had later in my career, had a lot of emphasis on recovery and doing the little things right away from the field. So I'm sure that played some part, but there definitely is. I reckon there's a luck element to some of the stuff that happens to you. As a player, that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to play games, and whether you were able to or not, you definitely push the barrier. And there's times, I guess, you look back and probably shouldn't have played that game or went on the field in that game, but you got through it. And we had really good medical staff, so they were there monitoring you and all that. But I couldn't imagine putting my body through what it had been through back then. But in saying that, whenever you did have a teammate you knew that was in a lot of pain or pushing through an injury to play, it always gave you a bit more motivation during a game, seeing your teammate, what it meant for them to get out in the field and play, that you wanted to repay that loyalty of them, I guess, trying to be out there and help you on the field.
In your 200th game, and we showed it in the montage, you scored a double against the Knights. And this kick, because like you've been kicking, you had the ball on a string and you had a licence to thrill with your kicking game. Where did that come from, man?
I'm sure you'd find a few clips of me kicking it before that off my shin or out in the full or whatever. But I don't know, I guess moments like that, it just happens. Sometimes things just pan out in front of you and it almost moves in slow motion and you just start doing something. And, that was one of those moments. That was actually a really enjoyable day and game. It was at home, and I think that's part of the luck I think I had through my career. I was lucky enough to play those milestone games, and a lot of them were at Mount Smart in front of friends and family, which made it so much more special. You could share it with them. So for the 300th, I remember there was a moment when I walked out on the field with my kids and the whole ground was, I think all the lights were out, I don't know, and it was a full house. The club did some ticket sale initiative and it sold out, and it was just a real awesome occasion to share with my kids. I remember I got injured the first tackle and I sort of tried to battle on, but by half time I was no good. I didn't play the rest of the game. We went on to win, which was great, but I didn't have much involvement in that.
Without a doubt, the most consistent warrior or performer in the club's history. What do you put that consistency down to, man?
I guess my job on the field was a pretty easy one. So that's I'm not a halfback or a fullback where there's a lot of elements to the game. Mine was, defence and, 3 different stages of my career where you change position. There was different things in attack you had to apply, but I didn't have a difficult job skill-wise. Mine was probably more just endurance, put yourself through the ringer and come out the other side. And I actually really enjoyed it. You sort of push yourself each week, and some games you're just like, oh, I can't get through this, but you just keep going, and then afterwards, and especially if you got the one, you sort of gave yourself a bit of a pat on the back, and you push yourself to some limits you don't realise you have, but when you do, you sort of grow from it.
Player of the Year 5 times. It hasn't been done before, and it's not probably going to be done again. When you look back at your best years, do you look back and pinpoint to why they were your best years when you reflect, or were there some that stay in your mind and for any particular reason? 5 times Player of the Year, that's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if any particular thing about those years sticks out for me individually. If you can get, I guess, accolades like that in a team that's performing really well, I think that's a real honour, because you're obviously, as a team, you're playing really well and you're getting recognised ahead of a lot of people that are in good form. And some of those years we didn't have good years. I'm not saying that I guess that the award probably did mean a little bit less to me without sounding ungrateful, but it was more about being a part of a winning team, and unfortunately didn't have as much as I would have liked to have during my time playing, and that was probably one of the things that made me want to stay at the club, was win a premiership, be part of the first team to win a premiership at the Warriors. And when things were going, I guess not so great, you had thoughts of you're coming off contract, maybe it's time to move on, whatnot. And the thing that was always drawing me back was the possibility of winning a premiership with the Warriors and being a member of that team, and that sort of kept me going, and that probably kept me going into the last contract I signed, where I still wasn't. I don't think I was that old. I might have only been 30 or just 14 and 30, but I felt like my body was starting to tell me otherwise, and that was a real push for me, was like hang in there. Something can happen with this team to win a premiership. Just miss out and being part of a winning team, but yeah, I guess at the end it didn't eventuate, unfortunately.
14 years is a very long time, and that in itself, trying to win a premiership, that's at the top of your goals. But how did you stay motivated throughout, and then even in those moments when you were a captain, and keep other people motivated, because you did a lot of the hard work, week in, week out, and then not only have to inspire and motivate yourself, you motivate those in and around you. What were some of the tools, or what did you used to use to keep you up, man?
Your first and foremost is to perform on the field, and if you're not doing that, it's hard to do the rest of the role of a captain, where you're keeping people accountable or sending messages. So that was always your most important job as a captain or any leader, is to perform on the field. By no means do I think I was a great leader of the team. I remember Ivan giving me the job quite young, and hoping that I'd grow into it. I definitely think I did grow into it, but it had its challenges. And thinking back now, I guess you learn experiences, in life, and the older you get, you more experiences, different point of view on things. And I just wish I had what I know now back then in the game. I feel like once you step away from footy, you get a different perspective, and there's a different perspective that would be real beneficial in the game. And it was demanding being captain, and I guess having that role that was quite physically demanding. And I had one year particularly that I really struggled health wise, and what come of it after sort of investigating medically was I was just cooked pretty much from the inside out. I was, I guess just putting myself through the ringer physically, but then probably also mentally trying to address things that weren't going as what I would have liked. And unfortunately, that wasn't just in the playing side. That was trying to address things in the office or how the club was running, and that was not my job. But I felt it wasn't being addressed, or things weren't heading in the direction I would have liked, and trying to spread myself so thin, it turned on me.
Been 2 grand finals in the club's history, 2002 the first, 2011 was the second. When did you realise that this was a special group of people? Because it was definitely a special year. Did you know early on?
I feel the year before, 2010, we changed a few things around our training, a new approach. We finished maybe 5th or something, but we ended up losing that first playoff game, and 7th and 8th won in that old system, and we got kicked out after that. So it probably didn't show, how far we'd come as a team. But that was a flow-on effect into 2011, and Ivan had another year under his belt coaching, so he was better off. We still had a really good trainer in Craig Walker out of Roosters system, and we had the makeup of the same team probably since 2006 or 7. We sort of had stuck together, so I think all those were factors. If you look, at the 2011 grand final team, you wouldn't say that was a great team on paper. We had just some good leaders and some guys that were real hungry to play footy first and then win games, and we built a real strong group away from footy, which I think is super important and probably gets overlooked. It's more about getting guys to play to their best ability and bringing a team together to play well together. You see where Ivan's come from, where he started, and playing under him, that was always his ethos, was you're a good person first and then you're a good footy player. So I think that was the makeup of it, as we got together as a group and we all pushed each other to achieve something on the field, and We didn't get it right all the time. We still had inconsistencies through our seasons, but that was probably the period where we managed to string the most performances together to give ourselves a chance at a premiership. I don't know if we could have beaten Manly that day, but definitely a regret of my career.
Mention to me 2 or 3 players now that were critical parts of that success in that team and why, man, because it'll be interesting to see. You've already said they weren't a flashy team.
Michael Luck was there, and not the most talented guy, or whether that's footy or physically, but he just busted his guts, and every week he was there to stick up for his teammate by playing some real tough footy, and I just feel like he was like the heart and soul of our team. We sort of looked to him to, if he can do it, we can all do it. I mean, he used to absolutely bust himself up. Everyone saw the injuries he had on the field, but there was twice as many during training, but he would never take an opportunity not to play. And he was super important for us. James Maloney, I thought, was another one earlier in his career. Probably, he was good for us, and he would say himself too bad for us in the sense he can be relaxed and be jovial and all as he is and perform. But I think some of the young guys would see that he can do it, I'll do it, and they do it, and it's not the same effect. And I think he's learnt through his career that how important he is to a team, and how he acts. The others are going to follow, but he was super important to us as well. And it wasn't just the team playing in the first grade grand final. We had the reserve grade play grand final, and the 20s were there. So that's a group of close to 50 players playing on grand final day. So I think that's showing where the club was, right through the grades, and that's a effort from all of the first grade squad of 35. It wasn't just us there in the first grade team. We can't get there without the reserve graders pushing us along to keep us honest, to keep our spot. So it was just a really good time at the club, and I really felt we were heading towards a period of sustained consistency, and that all got thrown out the window by some decisions that you probably look back on that were definitely not the right ones.
What are those decisions, man? Because when you think about it, this club is ready to go into get catapulted into a great era. I mean, you had 4 out of the last 5 years in the finals. You've had 3 teams in the final series, and then it was 7 years before you played finals footy again, man.
Yeah, for sure. Ultimately, it's that decision to let Ivan go. I guess there's different stories around it, but he was a guy that developed a lot of the players that come through in that period, and were almost ingraining a sense of finals as being, you know what I mean? We just play finals. I feel now, unfortunately, and it was through the back end of my career, making finals was something special, whereas with him it was like, that's the bare minimum. So letting Ivan go was, the catalyst to what happened after that. And we went through a number of coaches, and when you're trying to build consistency on the field and you keep changing, there's no consistency off it, well then that's hard to translate that over. I'm not solely pointing the finger at decisions made away from the team, because ultimately we're on the field playing the game, and a lot of us players let some of those coaches down. But I feel seeing what Ivan's done now, if he had more time at the club, there would have been a lot more success than what there was since he had left.
Bro, your thoughts are hugely rated and respected, man, because of what you did. So it's great that you're sharing this insight with us. So if you think about this club, and in my opinion has underachieved, and probably because, making the final series is the grand final instead of getting to the grand final, what do you think we have lacked over the years that has stopped us? Is it a mindset thing? Is it a personnel thing? Is it as simple as the coach?
I don't think it's as simple as the coach. I don't know how long your show goes for, but you could go down a number of routes, and there's a number of factors. But I just think you look at the Melbournes, the Roosters, those guys that are now consistently, top 4 grand finals. Penrith are doing it now. It is a mindset, and that's not just a click of your fingers and it's there, you know what I mean, after winning a couple of games. That's multiple seasons of slowly moving forward and in your performance or as a group, what your expectations are. And I just feel like we're never doing that with what's happening and changes and all that. There's new approaches, but the mindset isn't consistent right across. And you are right. It's it's frustrating. And I'd always support the club whether I watch them or not, and I'd never bag them or whatever, because I've been in that position, and I used to play, but I don't play now. So these guys are there, and I'm not doing it. So I'm not going to tell them how it's done. But I'd love nothing more than there to be success at the club, and that'll make. I'm not going to then jump back on the wagon like everyone else does, but I'm always there, and I'm always supporting them whether I watch them or not. But there's a number of factors over the years that haven't helped, and it is a bigger picture. There's after spending that year in Aussie, you see their take on rugby league in Australia is so much different to ours in New Zealand. Their competitiveness is driven into them from such a young age that when they're first graders, that's all they know. We don't have to be like that, but when we're at that level, it's, our job is to go out and perform. And if we're not performing, then we're not doing our job. That's the mindset. And it's easier said than done. It's not easy. If it was, everyone would do it. So I don't envy the guys playing now. I wouldn't want to play the game now. It looks that much faster and harder, and they're bigger and stronger. I'm glad I got it when I did.
Simon Mannering, once a Warrior, always a Warrior, and I'm not sure anyone has given as much to the club as you have. So thank you so much for your time over the years and even for your time tonight, mate. It is much appreciated.
No worries, Mons. Thanks, mate.
Next week, our special guest is one of the biggest hitters on the rugby league field, and when he came off the field, he's one of the biggest personalities too. That is Joe Vangana. So join us here next week on Once a Warrior.
Captain Simon Mannering. Listen to the crowd.
Mannering on debut with a smothering tackle.
Mannering throws the dummy! And then Mannering smashing Norrie.
Mannering is going to score again. Mannering in support. He'll go all the way, the captain. Mannering scores for the Warriors.